Namaste. Darshan message 24th November 2021. So we have got this message which is part of a much longer letter. And a little background is important because if we read through the letter, it appears very clear that, and it's a question that we all have when we look at life, its appearances, the anomalies, the ugliness, the disorder, the chaos, the confusion, we quite naturally question as to is there really a divine being or element or a divine force or a divine consciousness behind all this? Now, here Sri Aurobindo is only giving us the fact about the cosmic divine. He is not explaining the universe in this message. He has given several letters and of course in his books where he has explained how this anomaly has come about. Maybe we'll briefly touch upon that. So this is part of a longer letter and I'll read it a little before the message part begins. The letter reads that this world is full of queer, ugly and inharmonious things is the very plain and self-evident fact with which we have to start. This is the beauty of Sri Aurobindo. He does not gloss over. ये नहीं कि संसार बहुत सुंदर है, ये तो कर्मों का लेखा जोखा, it is all because of this reason or that reason. We start with this fact. People start explaining it even before looking at the fact. You are sick because you did some bad karmas. You had an accident because... No, there is a fact which stares at our eyes. अगर हम प्रारंभिक fact को ही नहीं देखेंगे, then we can't go much deeper into it. So this is a fact that this world is ugly and it is queer, strange, समझ नहीं आता है. तो वहाँ से हम start करते हैं. Wherever we may want or hope to arrive, this is the starting point. From this starting point, we may arrive at different possibilities. One is adjust. जो एक practical व्यक्ति होता है, he says that let me find a practical way to navigate through it. He is not interested in the beyond, behind. He says, this world is ugly, queer, let me adjust. And in the process, he says, let me learn the ways of ugliness so that I can make the most of it. This is the most common way people arrive at. The second is, within this limited, how much I can succeed and gather. This is the second way. The third is, they develop vairagya, that this is not worth living and they want to come out of the world. And the fourth, which is what Sri Aurobindo proposes, is there a way to change it? क्या कोई तरीका है कि इसको हम बदल सकते हैं? अब ओरिजिनल एस्पिरेशन तो बदलने की होती है, तभी तो ये हमको स्ट्राइक करता है. For a worm who loves to live in the mud, it is not ugly. Because if you keep him out of the mud, he will die. He loves to be in the mud and mire. It is only when human beings develop beyond a point that it strikes as ugly. This is the other part. There are people who love ugliness in the sense they don't call it ugliness. They are happy about it. But there comes a time when you look at it as a fact and you realize it is ugly. There is in it deception, there is in it falsehood on the surfaces, all kinds of motives. So he is speaking of that humanity which is awakened enough to realize it is ugly. Because there is a large majority of humanity who doesn't find anything wrong with the world. Especially those who are successful, and they feel rather God is very kind because they have got success, they have the money, so they regard it as wonderful. God is very good. So those who are unlucky, they call them unlucky because of their karmas. Now we are not talking of that gross insensitive humanity, but of that humanity which, despite whatever it may have, looks at the world and says, yes, it is ugly. बात ये नहीं कि मेरे साथ क्या हुआ है, बात ये कि संसार में अगलीनेस है. आपकी पुत्री सुरक्षित थी, अच्छी बात है, लेकिन किसी और की पुत्री के साथ अगर कोई ऐसा दुष्कर्म होता है तो अगलीनेस है. आप इसको टाल नहीं सकते कि नहीं उसने कोई कुकर्म किए थे इस कारण उसके साथ ऐसा हो रहा है. वो तो कहते हैं कि घाव पे नमक छिड़कना. इट्स लाइक रबिंग सॉल्ट ओवर इंजरी. सो श्री अरबिंदो से दिस इज द स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट. सेल्फ एविडेंट फैक्ट. But the whole question is there whether there is something behind, something that warrants this hope to arrive at something better. क्या कोई ऐसी संभावना, इज देयर समथिंग, सम पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ समथिंग बेटर, समथिंग बिहाइंड? फ्रॉम देयर अराइजेस दिस नीड. If everything is good with the world as it is, there is no question of spiritual seeking. The mother says that very clearly. If you are happy and satisfied with the world, be there. Till one day nature will prepare you and take you to that point. That's what mother said. Don't try to convert them because they become unsettled. So he says, ki, is there something behind? Now comes this part which is part of the message. See, when we read this aspect, the message becomes clearer. For the spiritual experience there is, and this something behind is to it as undeniable a fact as the very apparent character of this world in its surface aspect, as a world of ignorance, tribulation, suffering, disharmony, disorder, obscure inconscience. So he is saying, but to spiritual experience, message is not yet started, but just before the message, to spiritual experience, it is also an undeniable fact that there is something like that behind this world of trouble, disorder, pain, suffering. अब ये दो तथ्य सामने आ गए. एक तथ्य ये कि ये संसार अगली है इसके अंदर, वरना तो प्रगति की चाह ही नहीं है. If all is good, then why progress, why anything at all? But urge for progress itself indicates that man wants to make it better because it is not what it should be. So now we have two facts. One is the world as it is on the surface, a world of ignorance. That it is a world of ignorance, we don't need to understand spiritual philosophy. With all our scientific advancement, with the greatest scientists available in the world, past and present, thus, the sign of our ignorance is nobody with all the calculations can predict with certainty what is going to happen the next moment. There is no way you can predict. It is like veiled completely. You can have all the projections, possibilities, probabilities, and it may work out one of these. I may say randomly that yes, I'll be fine. But certainty we don't have. So that's the interesting part of ignorance, giant ignorance. We don't even realize that what a frightful ignorance it is. Every time we give a time to somebody, tomorrow we will meet. It's a statement of ignorance. So these are two facts, simultaneous facts. Now he focuses on this inner fact, and which is where the message starts. To spiritual experience, it is not a speculation, but a fact that there is a Godhead immanent behind this flawed and imperfect human nature, into some likeness to which this nature can try to grow. So he says to spiritual experience, it is not a speculation. Speculation is maybe guesswork, अनुमान, हो सकता है. ये थॉट की प्रोसेस नहीं है, ये एक फैक्ट है. स्पिरिचुअल एक्सपीरियंस के लिए ये भी उतना ही बड़ा फैक्ट है. अब श्री अरविंदो की तो अपने एक्सपीरियंस में एक और जेल है जहाँ पे कुछ भी हो सकता है, दूसरी ओर वासुदेव है. तो कह रहे हैं कि इट इज ए फैक्ट टू स्पिरिचुअल एक्सपीरियंस, नॉट ए स्पेकुलेशन, कि एक देव गॉडहेड, हमारा ही एक देवत्व इस मानव प्रकृति के पीछे खड़ा है. देयर इज ए गॉडहेड बिहाइंड दिस ह्यूमन नेचर. और ना केवल खड़ा है, वो हमको क्लू दे रहे हैं जिनके देवत्व में हमको ग्रो करना है. वी हैव टू ग्रो इनटू दैट देवत्व, वी हैव टू ग्रो इनटू दैट गॉडहेड. दैट इज व्हाई देयर इज द ऑलवेज द सेंस ऑफ imperfection. And the more you evolve and advance within human limits, I am saying, the more you feel the cry and call for becoming that. But we don't know the way. So he is reminding us that there is a Godhead into some likeness to which this nature can try to grow. And immanent. Immanent is something which is dwelling inside. It is there in all. Immanent. There is something behind the cosmic movement with all its disorder, which is of the nature of abiding peace, calm, strength, joy, and all embracing universality. And to enter into it and abide in it is possible for our consciousness also. सो पहले उन्होंने एक इंडिविजुअल का बताया. फर्स्ट ही स्पोक अबाउट द इंडिविजुअल, दैट देयर इज बिहाइंड एवरी ह्यूमन नेचर द गॉडहेड टुवर्ड्स विच वी ट्राई टू ग्रो. नाउ इवन बिहाइंड द कॉस्मिक मूवमेंट, now this is very easy to experience, even the individual Godhead. You see, if you read the newspaper every day in any city, there are hundreds of events happening, good, bad, things which you may not like, may like. Some places are very dirty and all this. But now look at the cosmic movement, look at the motion of the stars, vast scale. And suddenly we can pass into a state of inner peace. So he says there is behind everything, even in a crowd, you can suddenly enter into a peace which is behind it, silence behind life. So he says there is a peace, abiding peace, not just a passing peace. So even behind the cosmic movement, things which are going on a very large scale, even behind it, there is something which is of the nature of abiding peace, calm, strength, joy, and all embracing universality. And if you go to nature, just go away from human beings, frankly. Go into nature. And you will feel that joy, abiding peace, universality. But the moment you come to human being, my house, my this, your this. But you go into nature, you get the sense of universality. Ye bhi sach hai. This too is true. Cosmic disorder with asteroids and this and that unpredictability. But behind that disorder is silence, a peace, a joy. So at both levels, a strength. Look at the power that is behind this cosmos. That's why when we go into nature, we can come back with lot of strength. So this is also true. It is also a part of spiritual experience that there is something beyond in which this divinity, or whatever name you may give to it, is above the contradiction offered to it by this world of disorder and ignorance. That is the meaning of the transcendence. So third he is saying, first was immanent. See, all the three levels of divine he is revealing. First is the immanent. Within each one of us, there is something towards which our nature wants to grow. Second is cosmic movement with all its chaos, disorder. There is behind it also an abiding peace, strength, joy. And there is something beyond even the cosmos, a transcendence, which is there regardless of this. This world may be a world of disorder and everything, it is. But it's possible to enter into contact with that, and that also we can experience. So all three experiences are like this. Immanent divine, when people are living in a life which is full of suffering, stress. So what do? When they turn to God, they discover that inner state, that Godhead who is very different from whom they are encountering in everyday life. It's the experience of anybody who has some touch of bhakti or seeking. And there is a feeling that I wish one could be like that. Then beyond the cosmos, behind the cosmos, again one can experience it, as I said, any large scale movement and you can experience it. Beyond the transcendence, everybody in life has had some moments, most people, I won't say everybody, when suddenly everything as if vanishes for a moment, few moments. And you feel the sense of something which is beyond, like a peace, self-existence peace. As if संसार नहीं रहेगा तो भी चलेगा, वो है. ये अनुभव चाहे पासिंगली होता है, उसका माध्यम बन सकता है, कोई एक डेटी बन सकते हैं, गुरु, कोई वर्ड बन सकता है. Anything. Reading a book, you can enter into a world which is beyond all this world. So there is something which is beyond transcendence. So he is saying that it is also a part of spiritual experience that there is something beyond in which this divinity, then he gives a dash or whatever other name you may give to it. So you can call it divinity, you can call it by any name. This divinity is above the contradiction offered to it by the world of disorder and ignorance. That is the meaning of the transcendence. It is not affected by it, and if we enter into it, we also stop getting affected by it. There is a three levels at which one can have this experience. Immanent within, cosmic in the vast universality, and transcendent who transcends the individual and the cosmic. Whatever wide difference whatever wide differences there may be between different ways of spiritual experience, or whatever names may be put on these things, so much is fairly universal. All those who have genuinely explored the spiritual life beyond this ordinary life have discovered this. The paths may be different. For instance, in Christian mystics, it is called as the Father, the Transcendent, the Son, the Immanent, and the Holy Spirit. Universal. So, इंडियन मिस्टिसिज्म में तो बहुत तरह से इसको एक्सप्लोर किया है. इंडियन मिस्टिसिज्म, आई ऑफन से दिस, कबीर दास का वो जो दोहा है, राम जी के बारे में लिखते हैं, एक राम दशरथ का बेटा. एक राम है जगत पसारा. जगत पसारा इज द वर्ल्ड वाइड, यूनिवर्सल जगत पसारा. एक राम घट घट का वासी, इमिनेंट, हर एक कण कण में है. एक राम है सबसे न्यारा, ट्रांसेंडेंट. So in many ways, in Indian thought, it's already there. So it doesn't matter how we call it, but this is the experience of different spiritual seekers. Why is explaining this? He's explaining to the doubting mind that there is a fact of experience. It is not speculation. Mystics from ancient times have experienced it. You cannot negate their experience ki, because I don't experience, therefore it is not there. I may not have tried. It is not a matter of speculation, but a fact of experience. That's what he's emphasizing. If there were not these certitudes, there could be no assured spiritual life or endeavour. So he's finally telling us that if this certitude, now this certitude is very interesting word. Certitude is that we don't have any proof in our personal life. But there is the certitude. Certitude is faith which is combined with an absolute certainty. Certitude. That's how spiritual seeking begins. That certitude is like a ray of intuition in our hearts. कोई पूछेगा क्यों सीख कर रहे हो? कहीं ना कहीं ये certitude है. अब वो अनुभव में नहीं आया है. It has not yet come to experience. But this certitude which makes human beings seek the divine in so many ways. So this is what he is telling, most likely to Dilip Kumar Roy, because he used to have these intellectual doubts. But it addresses all doubting people that look at this world, this is a disorder, chaos. Here he is not explaining in this letter. In other letters he has done why the disorder is there, that it is a passage and how it can be changed and it is destined to change. All that he is not explaining here. That he has explained as well, because it's a progressive manifestation. It is yet a world in the making. तो जब कोई चीज बन रही होती है, whether it's a house or a painting, if you see it in the middle, it will look like a disorder. But if you know what went before, and if you know the artist's intention, so what will he say? या घर बन रहा है. So if you see a house in the beginning stage of construction, it will be all rubble, मट्टी, ढेला, यही सब दिखाई देगा. तो आप पूछोगे कि ये क्या है, ये इतना बेकार सा आपने ये गंदगी क्यों फैलाई है? तो क्या कहेगा? प्रतीक्षा कीजिए, मैं यहाँ घर बना रहा हूँ. आई एम गोइंग टू बिल्ड अ हाउस. सो यू विल कम बैक अगेन आफ्टर 6 months. यू से इसको घर बोलते हैं, टूटा फूटा. यू से वेट, बना रहा हूँ, फिनिश नहीं है. आप भी आओ, पार्टिसिपेट करो. मैन उस स्टेज में है वेयर इट इज हाफ फिनिश्ड एंड वी कैन पार्टिसिपेट. So after some time, so how we are going to know it? Either we have to wait till the house is finished. Perhaps it'll be too late because we have not paid up for the living in the house. Then we can admire from beyond. Lovely house. Supramental beings have come, but you'll remain a human being because you never participated in the venture. Halfway through, you see, builders करते हैं ना, थोड़ा शुरू कर देते हैं. कुछ लोग पहले से साइन इन करा लेते हैं. Some people halfway through, they say, come, you want to participate, pay up. And you can take one of the flats. So, human stage is the stage when we can participate. If we participate, we have the fortune to share the victory, the joy of the effort and the victory. If we don't participate, still the building will be made. We'll say, wow, wonderful. Can I live here? Sorry, it's all booked. Now, there comes the catch. So, what is the other way to know it? Other ways to know is ask the builder about the intention. Ask him what is your intention. That is exactly what Sri Aurobindo is doing. He is the master builder and the creator himself taking a human form. He is telling us the intention. This is the intention. This is how it will be. You want to participate? Come, join in, sign up. So this is here in this particular one, he is not revealing that because that is unique to Sri Aurobindo. He has come to declare it. Right now, he is addressing only the question: is there any spiritual truth? So he is saying yes, a threefold spiritual truth. That within us there is God, and there is an effort of man to grow into that Godhead. That's why we want to be noble, good. People talk about unconditional love, true knowledge, unmixed happiness. Why? Because there is something inside which prompts us to be like him. And that's why we see many of these stories where there is such a beautiful description in Ramayana about Rama, Krishna, because it inspires us to be like them. Sri Aurobindo and the mother, great beings, we want to be like them because they are a manifestation of this divine within. So this is first fact of spiritual experience, immanent divine. Second is behind this creation, cosmos, cosmic movement, large scale. Now this individual, Jagatyam Jagat, he is saying the same thing of the Isha Upanishad, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. So Jagatyam Jagat, Jagat is the universal movement and Jagatyam, individual motion. So behind every individual element of creation and behind the large scale cosmic movement, there is the divine presence, Isha Vasyam. And third is, there is also one can experience the transcendence beyond these. That's what Buddha spoke about, that disorder, suffering, all this. Yes, but you can enter into that, which is untouched by grief, untouched by anything, untouched by. So there are three levels of effort. One is, I want to grow like the Godhead inside. There is the effort involved. There is the disorder, but I want to grow into something which is more harmonious, true, beautiful. Large scale, I don't understand what it is, but behind it I can experience a peace, a joy, self-abiding peace. And there is an option that we can leave it all aside and enter into the transcendence. So these facts of spiritual experience, mystics have had all over. And he's saying, you may not call it divinity, it doesn't matter. There were people in ashram, Sri Aurobindo says about half a dozen, who had the Brahman experience but don't know about it. They have written him letter, I am experiencing this, what is it? Because name is not important. It will not say, I am getting a Brahman experience. But you will experience that vastness, that state which is beyond everything, that which has no name. You can't give a name of even peace to it, that stillness. So you can experience it everywhere. So this is the kind of experiences which mystics all over the world have had it. Like Sikh, he will use the word akal, beyond time. Same thing you will have here also in Indian thought, parat par brahma. It is saying the same thing. It is beyond the movement of time. We have this, no? We have Jiva, Jivatma, individual, Brahma, Atma, which is universal, and we have Parat Par, Paramatma, or Par Brahma, which is beyond everything that we can define. So, here three layers exist of the spiritual experience, and it is a fact. And one day, because that is behind and beyond, this world will become a beautiful reflection and manifestation of that. All creation is a manifestation of that. But it is in time and space, so it is progressive. Because I may have the whole Mahabharata inside me, Srimad Bhagavat inside me. But when I write on a piece of paper, I can't suddenly do it all together. I have to write, build the characters, then story, chapter 1, chapter 2, sloka 1, sloka 2, word 1, word 2, akshar 1, akshar 2. That is how manifestation is. So it's a progressive manifestation, evolution, and it has started from divine who is behind and beyond, and it will end with the full manifestation of the divinity जो कण कण में छिपा है वो जन जन में प्रकट होगा। नमस्ते।